this is Photoshop art. Now, I can't draw at all, but this type of artwork doesn't need drawing, so I thought I'd give it a go at getting to a confident level. Now, how long do you reckon it takes someone to learn this? A year? 2 years? Maybe only a few months? Well, I thought, what if I gave myself a week? Okay, so it is now officially day 1 of the challenge, and it is time for us to make our very first piece of Photoshop art. Now, I've been browsing for inspiration, and I've seen a lot of images with these like broken planets or like planets that look really cool, and I wanted to try something like that. Is it a bit ambitious for my very first one? Maybe. But you know what they say, you know, you've got to start in the deep end, or whatever, however that saying goes. I think it's going to hopefully come out kind of nice. I also want to add some subjects. I don't know how yet or what I'm going to do. I should probably plan this out more. But you know, how's it going? So I'm just going to chuck 2 people at the front. Maybe people. Oh, maybe we do like a guy and a dog. Anyway, time is a-ticking, so I should get on with it. Okay, so not gonna lie, this first one took me absolutely forever to figure out because, well, it was my first one. It probably ended up taking me about 8 or 9 hours because I had to watch so many tutorials to figure stuff out. And not gonna lie, I was way too ambitious for my first one. The amount of hours of YouTube tutorials that I went through to learn the basics of this stuff was insane. Like, I had to watch tutorials for stuff like how to add highlights and shadows to make things look realistic or 3D, on top of warping and loads of other stuff like colour grading and all of that lot, and cutting stuff out with a pen tool, or everything. I had to learn so much stuff from basics. But I think in the end it ended up alright. Obviously not my best one, definitely my worst one actually out of all of the days, but still kind of okay for the very first one. It's acceptable. Okay, so that is day 1 of the challenge officially done. I'm pretty happy with how everything turned out. I think that the moon actually looks a bit flat, and I'm not quite sure what I can do about that. But hopefully you guys can see the finished piece right now, and let me know what you all think. And I'm actually pretty hyped. It took me forever, but I think the finished result was definitely worth it, and I'm excited to see what tomorrow brings. Okay, so we are now on day 2 of the challenge, and I'm going into it pretty hyped up and pretty ready. I feel actually pretty good about this. Now, yesterday was a lot of tutorial watching, and I mean a lot, and that added to the time by a absolute bunch, which to be honest I didn't expect. I thought I'd be better off going into this challenge because I've been doing YouTube thumbnails for absolutely years, get absolutely nowhere. But clearly that was not the case, as there was a steep learning curve. However, hopefully I've got through the rougher part of the challenge now and got to the section where I actually kind of know what I'm doing and can just crack on a bit. So today I want to have more of a focus on the subjects and have them a bit closer and maybe do some more work with them. And you notice I say subject there, that's because the plan for today is to have a lovely couple in the apocalypse. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit start. Also, this microphone is useless. I don't need it. It's not plugged in to anything. I don't... yeah. Okay, so I'm actually really happy with how day 2 turned out. I got kind of very experimental with it. I definitely learned a lot from this image in particular. As you can see, I even like changed the faces of the people and did a lot with color grading and shadows and highlights and merging images together and blending images together and stuff like that. I even added this nuclear bomb in the background to try and add some more glow effects and different types of color grading and highlights around, which I think turned out really nice. And again, I mean, it all taught me a lot, this image. And I think I did a really good job with it with the path blurs and the added overlays at the end, which was like my first time properly doing that. I did that a little bit with the snow in the first one, but not as good as in this one. And I think it turned out really nice and definitely set me up to do a lot of better things in the future. And there are my finished results for the second day of this challenge. And generally I am really happy with it. Overall, I think the piece looks incredible. I might be a little biased. It turned out better than I thought it would. I was really beginning to doubt some certain bits at the start of this challenge, but other than that, no, it was really nice. The one thing I don't like about this image is the shadows of the city. They don't really match up right scale-wise. I really like the glass effect that I added as well. Like, it was a very last second thought, but I think it just adds like a whole atmosphere. And I guess that's it for today, so on to day 3. Okay, so we're on day 3, and if I see any comments about me wearing the same thing 2 days in a row, I will not be very happy. So today I actually have such a cool idea that I really want to do. Lately I've actually been really wanting to make like a abandoned spaceship, and I think that'll look really cool and have like a cool little story behind it, because I really like creating story with these images, and I think that's kind of the fun part of it. And my friend, shout out to you Charlie, was showing me around this game that I've never played called The Long Dark, and in particular was showing me this really cool kind of small airport location with like abandoned hangars and planes, and it really inspired me to crack on with that idea that I had and get it done today on Photoshop. And I'm actually now really hyped for it, so I'm going to go ahead and start finding images and crack on. Okay, so something about this challenge that I completely overlooked and it's taken me a lot longer than I thought it ever would is just finding the photos to use. I think it's been about an hour and a half so far, and I've just basically got done with finding and locating the photos that I actually want to use for this project, which is obscene. But for now, like I say, I have found the ones to use, so I can go ahead and get started. For this one, I genuinely really struggled with finding images. As you can see, it took me forever, and I was still changing images when we started. It was insane. I also really struggled with kind of fitting stuff in my piece, and so kind of just decided to change it to a 4:5 aspect ratio, which is what Instagram vertical posts are, because I thought that it would end up looking a lot cooler, and it actually really did, and it's what I ended up doing the aspect ratio for the rest of my pieces. But overall, a lot of blending difficulties were with this one, with kind of trying to get the grass perspective right for the floor and matching it in with the floor, as well as color grading and stuff like that. But I think it turned out really well, and it was definitely an improvement from the last two, and the best one so far by a long shot. Other than them vines on the side, I don't like how flat they look. I don't think words can express how happy I am with this piece overall. Genuinely ecstatic. Definitely think it's the best one I've done so far by a long shot. I absolutely love it. I was really doubting this piece with the grass in the floor and stuff like that. I've had some big issues trying to get that done and the perspective right, but in the end it turned out incredible, I think. I went into this piece really wanting to experiment with like different types of light and painting light onto it and stuff like that. I think that if we keep going this way, then by the end of the challenge I can create something amazing, I hope, and I cannot wait to see what tomorrow brings. Okay, so for the next piece that I'm doing today, well, more like tonight actually, because college is a thing, I think I want to go with something completely new. We've been doing a lot of, I want to say realistic, but kind of grounded pieces, maybe. I don't know how to explain it, but the thing is today I want to go more abstract, is basically what I'm saying. I want to try something very different. So I'm thinking I'm going to have like this soldier or someone in the middle, and then some stuff in the background and some huge creature or something. I don't know, we'll figure it out along the way. I'll make a rough plan and then go for that. Yeah, let's go. Well, first off, it took me for absolute ever to find an image of a robot that was half decent, and it still wasn't that good because I had to go around and cut out each manual part of this robot. Like, you could see its internals. It was hell. Anyway, and then I moved on to the city and trying to find a good sky image, which I experimented with a little bit, and then adding the explosions and the color grading, etc. The ship was actually really difficult. I had no clue what I wanted to do for it, so I had to look at a bunch of reference images of what other people have done for ships, and I went with this kind of abstract oblong object kind of thing, as you can see here. And it did take me a while, but I am actually really happy with how it comes out in the final piece. I even decided to add in a second one as well. And then a very last minute decision, I thought that the robot looked a bit bland and boring, so I decided to add a cape. I'm not too sure how happy I am with the quality of it overall. I think it could have been better, but honestly, I think the cape does fit and it looks really nice on the robot and kind of humanizes it a bit and adds some story to the piece. Day something. Okay, so last night's one actually turned out really well. I was really happy with it and overall how it turned out. I think the cape looked a bit better. Anyways, on to today. Okay, so what I want to do today is go really deep into the kind of supernatural, abstract, kind of wild theme, like we kind of did with the last one, but even more. So that's what we're going to try and do today. Hopefully it'll come out pretty well, but I guess we'll have to find out. I'm going to get on with it. Okay, so not gonna lie, this piece may or may not have been slightly inspired by a movie I went and saw earlier that day. Not fully, but slightly. If you've seen the new Hunger Games movie, there's a scene in it with a girl in a field, and so that really inspired me to go ahead and do this through the portal, which I think looks really cool and actually came out really well and adds a whole vibe to the piece. And to be honest, I kind of struggled for ideas on what to do on this side of the portal, but I think that I ended up really nice actually, and I added these big like machine creatures in. I think it looks really cool, has a nice little bit of story to it, and honestly, this piece only took me like a few hours, so we're definitely getting way faster at it at this point, and I definitely think it's one of my favourite pieces so far. So for today's one, because it's the last day, I want to do something fairly big and kind of cool, I guess. So I looked up Photoshop art on Pinterest and saw that there are a lot of spacey kind of sci-fi themed ones. So I really want to do something with like space, but kind of incorporate it into the real world. I don't know if that makes any sense. Space is the real world. I don't know how to explain what I mean, but I want to have like space above and then like a room below and someone looking up. You'll see. I don't know how to explain this stuff. Hopefully it'll turn out good though. Okay, so for this one, obviously I wanted it to be the big finale piece to kind of demonstrate our change from the start to the beginning. So I started off with this little room and this kid who, honestly, for the life of me, it was so difficult to find an image of a kid looking up. But anyways, then I moved on to adding these like creatures in the sky, which I know it doesn't make any sense at all. None of these make sense, but I thought it looked really cool and just really wanted to test my abilities and put push myself as far as I could after this challenge to really prove what I've learned. And honestly, overall, I think it turned out incredible. I'm so happy with it, and I think it makes for an excellent final piece.
And you did it right from the start.
And that was the final piece for the challenge. I'm really happy with how it turns out, and I think it really shows the amount of progress that we made over this week. But as for now, that is everything. I absolutely love you all to bits. Subscribe, and peace.